Hey, my name's Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. Most of us don't even have gym memberships. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man, nor do we have a ton of time to train. And we don't need it because we're achieving amazing things without it. We are Garage Gym athletes, and these are our stories. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with most of the team. Kyle's not here today, but Joe is here. What's up, Joe?
Which one?
Well, you're Joe.
Ooh.
He's VD. So
okay. Hi.
That just makes it easier. Hello, Joe's here. Ashley, what's up?
Hey.
And then VD.
Konnichiwa.
How's it going, man? He doesn't get a lot of airtime here because everyone's so international. It's hard for us to sync up on in time. So you're in Japan, you're in charge of the shred track, and you're awesome. Anything else you want people to know?
I do exist. I'm not just a pretty face on the internet.
Yeah, we don't just like randomly refer to him as the person who makes the shred track. It's he's a real guy.
It's hard to coordinate things with people who live in the future.
Yeah.
That's true.
And gives us like weird coordination times that I didn't even understand the other day. I was like, I can meet between 2 and 7 a.m. I was like, what does that mean?
Time works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, it's difficult. All right, well, I'm excited to get into stuff. We have some announcements. I'm going to let Ashley kick this one off because really cool. Ashley and my wife, Emily, have been working on something pretty cool. They had a meeting about it recently. Ashley, I'm going to let you talk about it and, give some of your thoughts on it, and then I'll chime in as well. But this is kind of a big announcement for Into 3 Fitness Garage Gym Athlete, but also kind of a request for people. So I'll let you get started with that.
Yeah. So basically what's been happening, Emily and Jared have been talking, Emily and I have been talking, and we really have thought about basically making a track catered towards women's health. So it'll be a track just kind of like your harder to kill track, your shred track. You'll have programming as well as nutrition kind of integrated together. And the thought process is females are a bit different than males, obviously. And so we want to cater towards that, specifically targeting, making sure your hormone levels are okay, making sure that it's an overall wellness and health kind of goal. So it's not just, it is obviously going to be targeted towards fitness as well as your nutrition and eating, but also your mindfulness. Are you taking time for yourself? So there's a lot going on, and I'm super excited about this. And so we are also hoping to get some beta testers out there for us. So if you are listening to this podcast, we would love for you to hit us up and say, hey, I'm a female and I would like to try this out. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think, this is really cool. Emily she started working one-on-one with one of our athletes who just kind of hit a wall, female athlete, and, really gave her some like foundational information and helped out a lot. And then it kind of spurred into this, which I think is really cool and is going to be really helpful. Now, the only things I want to throw out there is like, I want to make a checklist for people of like, for the females listening who like think that they want to join, maybe they're happy on the hard to kill track or whatever, how you could go about that, why you might consider this track. So we're going to put out more information on that. And it's also not, hey, we have all these other tracks for men and there's one track for women, and like right. That's where you should be. You can be wherever you want to be. This women's health track is just going to be way more intensive. There's going to be a lot more work with a coach, dialing in the nutrition, accountability. The programming is going to be a little bit different, but nothing, at our core, Into 3 Fitness Garage Gym Athlete, any of that stuff really changes. I think it's just going to be more of like a laser focused approach for females. And Ashley and Emily are kind of experts in that field. And I always I'm serious. Like I mentioned it in several podcast episodes, like Emily knows way more about nutrition than I do. I've learned a majority of what I know and continue to learn from her. So I think it's awesome that she she kind of volunteered to do this, and she absolutely didn't have to. So I'm stoked to get her more involved in the team, and for you guys to head this up. I'm looking forward to it. All right. I'm not going to go through all the other announcements we have. I mean, there's a new cycle. It's currently Fit Week. We are doing events. Patches are coming. The next Fuels course. All this jazz. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you are one of our athletes, I'm going to start updating almost on a daily basis in the Garage Gym Athlete group with just reminders and things that are going on so you guys can keep up. So if you're in the Garage Gym Athlete group, Facebook group, just make sure that you keep checking and everything, because the podcast, to be honest, at a weekly cadence is not going to be able to keep you informed of all that we have going on over the next several weeks. So tune into the Facebook group if you want more information. Now, let's quickly transition. Joe, give me an update, man. How's your life?
Not much going on. I kind of update all the time, so not a whole lot to do for this Fit Week. But one thing that Liz is looking to add to our gym, possibly at least down the road, is a spin bike, which is
like
different.
My bike.
Well, so I mentioned the concept too, but that seems like almost like a regular bike, not quite a spin bike. I don't really know the differences in them.
Me either.
Because we use a spin bike on the cruise, and then she uses one on her ship, and just a way to sub in certain condition and do things like that, just to change it up. And it's something that we can take with us when we go to Bahrain and not have to run outside when it's 120 degrees.
So like a Peloton type situation, or like?
We thought about Peloton, but not only are they super expensive, but then you have to pay on top of that for their classes.
Right.
You could just get like a $200 to $400 bike, and then just get the classes on the side, and just put your iPad on the bike. So it's something we're playing with. Not really sure which direction we want to go.
Get the bike erg. It sounds perfect for everyone.
I might have to try it out somewhere first, or a spin bike. I do want one with, like, she picked out one that doesn't have any sort of like monitor, and I'm like, well, I just want to be able to get on there and jump on and see something that's going on versus just do a spin class. And that's what the bike erg would have. But I mean, anything with Concept 2, it's going to be up there in price.
Man, if I hopped on a bike with no data, I would die. Like, what am I doing? I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all got going on.
What were you going to say? Actually, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just saying, typically spin bikes only have the resistance knob. That's it. Just to up the resistance and then make it down. Because if you've ever been have you ever done a spin class? Anybody?
Years ago, yeah. But yeah, I know what you're saying. They don't really have anything.
I haven't. I don't hate on spin class. I just haven't done it.
I've done exactly one, and I bruised an area I don't want to talk about. So I don't...
Yep, feel you.
I've done plenty of spinning on a bike, but I've never done like the let's do a push up on the handlebars, and like I've never
done.
That's what they try to do in those spin classes. They try to make it like full body. It's a good workout. I'm obviously not hating on cycling. I love doing that, and I have a stationary bike in my garage that I ride frequently.
Jared's one class of Soul Cycle.
So we've beat the cycling conversation down into the ground. So I'm going to move to Ashley. Give me an update. How are you doing? How are things?
Oh, life is good. Finally over my cold. So back to training every day. And then, by every day, I mean 5 days a week. But traveling tomorrow evening. So I will be in Croatia for a week at an baller resort, if I may say so myself. So going to have to tackle some of Fit Week potentially in a different gym. So I have to see what the gym has, because I haven't been able to find pictures of the gym, but there's a description of said gym on their website. So we'll see if it's a mysterious gym, if it's really there, and what they have.
I always look up those things on like Instagram and see what people have posted.
Man, sneaky.
You are.
Got the tech
research.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe's done it too. He's all over the place with gyms.
Yeah. I plan where I stay at hotels a lot of the time based around the gym.
That's awesome.
Or how close it is to a real gym.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Maybe I don't travel enough to get. I normally just show up and I find out the gym sucks, and I'm like, I guess it's body weight this week. You know, that's typically what I do.
Just pick up that hotel.
All right, BD, how about you, man? Updates. How are you doing?
Well, I'm still in Japan, so still living in the future, about 15 hours or so ahead of you guys. So that's a little bit of a challenge. But out here, it's hot, just like it is everywhere else, and training's going well. Um, Doing a ruck this Friday, so I will team up with a couple other guys from work, and we'll go do a 9/11 ruck about a week late. But we're still doing it. We're signed up for it. So we'll go do that. Otherwise, I've taken on two people that kind of need to improve on their Air Force PT test. So working with those guys one-on-one, introducing them to the Hard to Kill track. So thank you very much. And we'll get them in shape. So yeah, kind of happy to kick that off and get started with that.
That's great. I look forward to their results. So for me, I don't have a lot. I have been working hard on the next cycle. Really, there was a lot of groundwork I had to lay before I could even start programming. We've talked about this, and I'm going to talk a lot about it in this week's, as this is published, this week's webinar. So make sure you attend that webinar or catch the replay if you can. But we are going into kind of like a balancing cycle. These tend to be Joe's favorite, or have been historically, and that's what we're going into. But I've never, I've never written down exactly how I do a balancing cycle, to be able to teach. Like, I can write one, but if now I'm trying to teach it to other people, where I can teach it to EO3 coaches and just have like some format and a process for it. And in doing so, that's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work to tell people, what your job is and what you're doing as you're doing it. And so I've been doing that. It's been a lot of work. You're going to see a lot of new resources at Into 3 Fitness because of that. You're going to see it in the programming. Programmings look a little bit different than normal, but we do one balancing cycle per year. I'm really excited for it. Having already written some of the programming, I'm anxious to get after it, and I might stay on that hard to kill track. We talked about it in our last team meeting. Our favorite time as a team is when we're all on the same track and we're just like sharing times and posting weights and results. And I think I would like to, roll into that this next cycle. I'm talking about a small team here, not the entire Garage Gym athlete team. That excites me as well. But I think I'm going to do that. Might skip out on Endure for the winter and go hard to kill. And that's about it. Those are my updates. A lot more programming information coming your way in the webinar and season 9 and everything else we have going on. There's just a lot going on right now. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be talking about processed foods. You're not going to walk out of this conversation with any no way that's true type information. It's kind of straightforward, but I like it. When the research hits and you can share this information with other people. Ashley actually is the one who puts together our show notes, and she's going to link to a lot of the studies and some of the charts and graphs. So if you go to into3fitness.com and you go to our blog section, you really got to check those things out. That's what I email out every week, is the show notes, so you can go check it out. And I know a lot of people already do. I get feedback all the time for people thanking me for linking to the show notes and everything. You can actually thank Ashley. She's the one who's been doing that. And we're going to continue to do that because I think it's really important. And the reason this study is so cool, so the actual name of the study is called Ultra-Processed Diets Cause Excess Calorie Intake and Weight Gain, an inpatient randomized controlled trial of ad libitum food intake. Okay, so I just need to go stop for a second. One, you already know a lot about what's going on from the title, but two, an inpatient randomized controlled trial. The most of the time when you're reading food studies out there, people they're doing these food questionnaires. They're bullshit studies. For lack of a better word, they are. They rely on people remembering what they ate, submitting records. You still get to go home at the end of the day, and then you go tell the researcher, the next day what you ate, what you did. That you just kind of check in once a day. That's how a lot of these other studies are done. This was done at a ward. They brought people in and controlled their diets and controlled their lives for this entire time period. This is a pretty impressive study. Things like this don't happen that much anymore because it costs a ton of money. And it's really hard to do things like experiments on humans these days. Like one person died, whatever, like, a decade ago, or I forgot. There's an actual story about it. Like someone died in a trial, and they're like, okay, we need some really strict regulations and guidelines on what you can and can't do with humans. That's why there's so many like mice trials and all this other junk. But anyway, this one is really impressive. So I just want to like throw that out there right away. Is sometimes you can go into a study and you can tear it up because you're like, oh, well, they didn't do this or they didn't control for that. There's almost, I have like no critiques as far as that goes. Like they thought of almost everything and they did it correctly. I don't really have any critiques for the study overall. All right. So let me read some of the key points I'll throw to you guys just to get your overall thoughts of the study are. But I'm going to also hit on some of the major points because this is not, from the title alone, like we've already kind of let the cat out of the bag, right? But as a metabolic ward, 20 adults were presented with diets consisting of unprocessed or ultra-processed food matched for energy, macronutrients, sugar, fat, and fiber for 2 weeks each. Let's see. However, while presented with diets matched for these variables during each diet, participants could consume as much as they wanted. So kind of like a free range, like eat throughout the day, whatever you want to do. But they made sure that the ultra-processed and unprocessed foods match. Now, I read this entire study and was like, could you please tell me what you mean by unprocessed, ultra-processed, all that? And it wasn't until the very end of the study. I asked Ashley to put this in the show notes, so she will, but let me just kind of read a brief, like what they're talking about. So ultra-processed foods, and they give examples: sodas, sweet and salty packaged snacks, chicken nuggets, fish sticks, hot dogs, pre-prepared frozen meals, breakfast cereals, energy bars, packaged cakes, and sweets. That's like group 4, as bad as it gets, ultra-processed. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people listening to this who just like went on a checklist of like, I've had X many of these things this week. I know it, you know it. Look, you only have to admit this to the guy in the headphones and yourself right now, but just know whether or not you're in the ultra-processed. Now, the unprocessed or minimally processed examples were fresh, frozen, or dried fruits and vegetables, pasta made from flours and water, spices and herbs, fresh or dried, meat, poultry, fish, and seafood, whole or in the form of steaks, fillets and other cuts, chilled or frozen. Their use of a comma is freaking me out. Eggs, unsweetened milk and yogurt, coffee, tea, water. That's the unprocessed, and then there's some in-betweens, but they pretty much did unprocessed and ultra-processed. So, yeah. Any questions about that from you guys?
Negative.
Okay. No questions.
Well, sounds like real food.
Yeah, sounds like some good stuff, right? So let's see. They said some of the takeaways here. The processed diet participants ate 500 calories per day more than the unprocessed diet, and their hormones were all jacked up. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff. I don't know if I want to get into all the nitty gritty. I will, but I want to throw it to you guys first. So basically, we have unprocessed and processed foods. I'll get over like body composition changes and everything like that. But what are you guys' thoughts on the study as a whole? I'll start with Joe. Like when you first like pulled this up and you're like, okay, processed versus ultra processed, or unprocessed versus ultra processed. What were your thoughts going into it?
I didn't realize how detailed the study was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be one of those other studies where, okay, they kind of have a general diet that they lined up for him, but I didn't realize that they were putting people in 24-hour energy expenditure chambers and doing all these like DEXA measurements, fasted bloods, everything. Like, and then they took whatever you started with. So if you started with ultra processed, then unprocessed, and then they flip flop. So you couldn't say, oh well, maybe the people that you got just weren't good with it, or maybe it was just those people because they tested both people the same things, and so that was pretty crazy to me. Yeah,
like I was saying at the beginning, it's almost a bulletproof study. I mean, you can always get into the weeds with like how your critique of a study, but this one is like, it's pretty amazing. Ashley, what were your thoughts going into it?
Yeah, I have to agree with Joe. Again, I was like, okay, ultra processed versus not processed foods. To me, I was like, well, I know what the outcome's going to be of this study, but um, it was very interesting to see how they did it, and that they did equal men to women as well. And then, the findings that they found out, like the protein one in specific. I know you're going to break down stuff later. That to me was like, well, that makes so much sense. Specifically talking about ultra processed foods, that they were eating more ultra processed foods in order to hit their protein. And that, I don't know, that definitely did not surprise me. But in the charts, it didn't reflect that in the charts, because it talked about like hunger, fullness, and how it almost looked the same to me versus, yet in the study, they do say that they ate 500 calories more than the non-processed food people. So I was just wondering what their measurements were for that table in specific, I guess.
There's a bunch of tables on the full study.
Yeah, and I know. So one of the things that was very interesting, and then I'll go to UVD, but some of the tables, if you like quickly glance at them, see body weight increased during the processed diet, but decreased during the unprocessed diet, and body fat was the only significant body composition change, is what it states. But that's one thing that was really clear to me. Now the hormone thing's a little bit different, because some of them, it had to be controlled for each, like ultra processed and unprocessed. So all the hunger hormones, ghrelin, leptin, things like that, they were actually relatively close in each category, like per person. So for the ultra processed and for the unprocessed, like people were still as hungry, but people weren't. It was really close, but they were a little bit more hungry on the ultra processed diet. If that makes sense. They weren't as satiated, but it's really close on the charts.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
All right, VD, what are your thoughts?
Well, when I first read the title, I was like, man, this is a word salad. I'm not going to understand what's going on. But it kind of makes sense, right? Like for me, after going through it, it just sounded like eat real food, put down the fork when you're full, like basic kind of stuff. So I would suggest really going in and reading this. If you're just listening to the podcast, go pull this up and read through it. It's a lot of very basic knowledge that just makes sense. It's not as bad as the title suggests. So that's what I would say to folks listening at home.
Yeah, now let me dive into some of the things that I highlighted as I was going through this. So during the unprocessed diet, insulin and leptin were lower versus baseline in the processed diet, and T3, the thyroid hormone, was significantly lower, while free fatty acids were significantly higher, indicating body fat was metabolized. Just some interesting stuff. I think it's interesting how much your hormones can be affected not from macronutrients, from processed versus unprocessed. That's because this whole, and part of what I want to talk about is if it fits your macros, right? Which is kind of true, but like we're talking about the hormonal level. If someone eats the same amount of calories every day, but it's ultra processed versus unprocessed, you might be taking in the right macronutrient breakdown, but do you think it matters if it's affecting your hormone levels? The answer should absolutely be yes. If your hormones are being affected from the crap that you're eating, maybe you want to eat good crap, so it affects your hormones in a better way. To put that in the dumbest sounding way I possibly could think of it. But let me get into one of the other things I want to hit on was they talk about the protein leverage theory, and because they don't really know like why processed diets result in spontaneous weight gain, and conversely, why unprocessed diets result in spontaneous weight loss. So if I didn't make that very clear, that's exactly what happened. And people were eating the ultra processed, they gain weight. The people who they could eat the same amount of calories, but they would go, unprocessed, they would lose weight fairly easily until you get to kind of like your resting body weight. And they said it. The answer they think was the protein leverage theory. Now this is a theory, but simply put, you're going to feel fuller when you have more protein per calorie, I think is the easiest way I could take their definition and put it in my own words. So if you have more protein per calorie, you're going to feel fuller and you're not going to want to eat as much. Now, most processed foods are really high in fat and carbohydrates and very low in protein, but they're also extremely dense. So you can have, some sort of packaged, whatever, and it has like 5 grams of protein in it, but it's like a 700 or 800 calorie Pop-Tart. I actually haven't had a Pop-Tart in so long. VD, how many calories you got on those Pop-Tarts? How much is 2?
Yeah, so I brought an example today so we can talk about this garbage. Yeah. But just so everyone knows, 2 Pop-Tarts come in a pack, right? But only one of those Pop-Tarts is 200 calories, and that's actually one serving is the one Pop-Tart. Like you said, low protein, so 2 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, and 38 total carbohydrates.
This is one Pop-Tart?
One Pop-Tart out of the 2-pack.
Yeah, and so you're going, that's pretty dense food, right? And who eats one Pop-Tart? I mean, I haven't had a Pop-Tart in a long time, but when I did eat Pop-Tarts, I ate 2 Pop-Tarts. Because that's what was in the package. There's no way to save it. Maybe if they made a Ziploc resealable thing, I would only eat one Pop-Tart, but they don't. So I would always eat 2 Pop-Tarts.
That's how they get you to eat 2 Pop-Tarts.
But, I mean, you've probably seen this in your own life, right? I mean, let's just admit that we've all probably had fast food at some point in our life. Have you ever noticed that you're not very full after you eat whatever it is, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Whataburger, whatever you want to say that you have? You eat this entire meal. If you were to actually go calculate all the calories that you just ate, it's probably like 1,700. You know, a significant portion of food. If you're eating French fries and a burger from almost anywhere, at least 1,000 calories. Add ketchup to that, add a soft drink to that, and you're getting getting crazy now. But you're going to be hungry in like 90 minutes. It's just, that's what's going to happen. Because this ultra-processed food, there's not a lot of protein per calorie in that entire meal if you look at it as a whole. And so your body's just not very full. And that's a big part of it. Now, on the flip side, if I go to my fridge and I make this giant kale salad, how much kale I have to eat to even get like a worthy amount of calories is absurd. And it's just going to fill up my stomach and I'm going to be full. And then if I were to throw some lean protein into that, like chicken or whatever, then I'm going to get really full really fast. Because I've actually noticed something like that where I could have a chicken salad, and like if it's a really big salad, like towards the end of it, I'm like, I'm just not even like really hungry anymore. And that's what's happening. But if I were to eat some fast food, I know I'd eat the entire thing and be like, like what else could I have here? You know, that's a pretty easy concept. But we're not talking about, they weren't even talking about fast food, which I think was awesome. I already gave the example foods, but those are foods that I guarantee people listening to this have had today or will have this week or had in the past week. It wasn't like crazy stuff in all honesty. So I'll go over it again. Sodas, sweet and salty packaged snacks, chicken nuggets. Who doesn't like chicken nuggets? Fish sticks, hot dogs, pre-prepared frozen meals, breakfast cereals, energy bars, packaged cakes, and sweets. I mean, this was not like what's that movie, Super Size Me, where the guy eats McDonald's every day for 30 days, right? This is just like average American diet that, a lot of people are eating, and you're going to end up eating a lot more and be way worse off for it.
That's kind of one thing I wanted to hit on is, as I read more into it, they gave the people had choices of what they ate, and I think they chose, but they also gave them a bunch of food and was like, hey, eat as much as you want, eat as little as you want. And everything they ate, I believe they measured. And when they took a bunch of subjective measures, and even though they said there wasn't anything to talk about for as far as the subjective measures because they were the same, everybody felt the same satisfied and fullness. But I think it's significant because even though they all felt the same, the unprocessed, ultra-processed diet ate significantly much more food. So they weren't as satisfied because they had to eat a whole bunch more in order to get that same level of satisfaction. And so I thought that was also noteworthy.
Yeah, and just to your point, I guess if I did have any critique on the study, it would be, I bet if you took all these people and could just observe them in their daily life, I bet they would have eaten even more calories. Because I know if you put me in some sort of like hospital ward and you're measuring, I'm like, yeah, I'll have some of that. And they're like, okay, hold on, I got to measure it out first. They measure it out, they give it to you. And then like I go back and I'm like, I'd like a little bit more. And they're like, okay. And then they measure it out. And like I would start to feel weird after a certain point. So I'd be like, you know what, I'm just going to eat a little bit. So I bet, in your household, instead of an extra 500 calories, it's probably an extra 1,000 calories or something like that. Pretty easy to get out of hand pretty fast. When there's absolutely no regulation, no oversight, anything, it's going to go pretty bad pretty fast. All
the
right.
ultra-processed also ate faster, which was strange, but...
It's that density, man. I think that's the big point of the... Like, if you were to go look in a supermarket and just go look at all the packaged foods, like, the amount of calories they can pack into things. Like, I've always been amazed if you pour out... I forgot what the exact amount is, but I think a can of soda has anywhere from... I think it's like 50 grams of sugar. I think it's something like that for a 12 ounce. And I could be wrong, but it's somewhere. It's either 30 to 50, something like that. Now, if you were to go get a bag of sugar and a scale and measure out 50 grams of sugar and look at it and just look at how much sugar you're about to consume. But what they've done is they've melted it down, they've turned it into a syrup, and they've put it, in with carbonated water. So they can pack a lot of sugar into a very small space. And they're doing this with all sorts of foods, making them hyper palatable. So you're going to eat tons of it. But it's just crazy if you actually look at things like that. Like, how much am I going to consume? They condensed it. They put sugar on steroids, right? So big takeaways. Eat unprocessed diet. Like, that's what I said at the beginning. Like, we're not going to walk away with like this. Are you serious? Like, is this crazy? But I think knowing, my main takeaway was this: if it fits your macros, I want to give like first, if it fits your macros, still works, because technically, if these people were following a macronutrient plan, it would have been impossible to consume an extra 500 calories. So I will say that, like, it would have been impossible if they're like, you need to eat 2,500 calories today. This much is carbs, this much is fat, this much is protein. And they did that however they wanted to, but they ate processed or unprocessed. This study would be very different, I think, because they wouldn't have had an extra 500 calories to eat. Would they have lost weight, gained weight? I don't know. But at the same time, no one is tracking macros every day of their life. Very few people do that. Like, I do it in spurts. I'm like, I track my macros, see where I'm at, and then I back off, just where I can get like a justification. That's what I recommend everyone do, is find out where you're at. So this self-regulating theory, Joe like normally laughs at me, but I think self-regulation is complete BS, because I just don't trust human beings to self-regulate on almost anything. We're like monkeys. We find something good and we're like, we beat it. We beat it into the ground until, we just can't have any more. And that's what we do. So I don't believe in self-regulation. So macros can be helpful, but going back to what I was talking about with the hormones. So yes, if it was controlled from macronutrients, maybe if it fits your macros is okay. But now if we look at hormones, completely not okay. And I've never been okay with the if it fits your macro idea, where you're at the end of your day and you have a bunch of carbohydrate calories left, and so you have a Coke. Like, that's not how we do macros here. And it's not how I suggest anyone do it. Like, I've always said that you should have a clean diet, eating whole foods and everything else. So the fact that your hormones are affected by your choice of food, not even the macronutrient breakdown, is pretty crazy to me. Because, and the reason I say that is because you can look at someone ingesting carbohydrate and there's going to be like an insulin response to that, right? And that's a hormone. But that's just from carbohydrate. But they're saying that there's different responses based off the type of carbohydrate where it came from. That blows my mind. Like, I think to dive into why that's happening, they don't give an answer to that. I don't know the answer either. But the biochemistry there is crazy. Maybe next time. But that's all I got for this one. You guys have any other shots, points, takeaways?
Yeah, I think now the CrossFit people hate you, and if it fits your macros, people hate you.
I'm creating enemies all in the fitness realm everywhere.
People don't
but usually there's like one or two that'll trickle out and then back away from the crowd that they're on and be like, oh, I see, that's me, and join, and that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool, because we fixed that person, hopefully.
Yeah, see, and that's what I would rather say what I think is right as opposed to try and get a bigger following. And I think that's unfortunately not the best move forward for growth of a business sometimes, but like, there's been so many. I'm just so hung up on this. Like if a fitness program you're following is not leading you towards health, then like just what are you doing? Like what are you doing? I just don't understand it at all anymore. And that's kind of what we're going to transition to for our topic today. But I just can't. That's why I'm almost like mad at powerlifters sometimes now. If they're just like, having 6 beers every night and like trying to eat, as much Taco Bell as possible to make a weight class. I'm just like, can you stop? Like, you're killing yourself, and I don't understand it. Anyway.
Number 3.
Yeah, who else can I offend? I think bodybuilders are okay for the most part.
Talk about yogis too. I mean, we can do that.
No, yoga's awesome. As long as you got a little bit of strength in there somewhere, yoga's great. Let's see, who else do I like? I like everybody. Okay, so the topic of the week, we're going to be talking about high intensity. This is a double tap, and we're going to be talking about Fit Week. So let me open up this question. So I got a really long email, and I want to hit on this point, and then get if you guys have any thoughts on high intensity training or whatever. We talked about this. When was that, Joe? That was like the first episode, right? I went over cortisol.
We started off hot, firing against CrossFit.
I talked about why we don't do CrossFit. I talked about cortisol. I talked about how to lower levels of cortisol, what you're going to do. We had some people email me, some angry, some like, oh my gosh, this has been my life for, a long time. And this is kind of a follow-up to that. And he's been working on this individual. I'm not going to say his name because he didn't get permission ahead of time. But he's been working on recovering from, high intensity all the time. And he said, well, I seem to be trying to get my sleep, cortisol, and testosterone rehabilitated. What would your reaction be to limiting the glycolytic pathway training temporarily, as it would appear to be the most taxing on those measures I've listed above? And he was just talking about different hormone levels and things like that. Like you said about the EO3 elements, if sleep is trash, nothing else can make that better. So real quick, glycolytic pathway is the super crappy, high intensity, about 2 minutes of effort energy pathway. It's the one that you see people puke afterwards. It's the 2 minutes all out on the Airdyne, the 90 seconds, the Frans, those type of workouts, really high intensity stuff. And that is the glycolytic pathway. It is the most metabolically demanding pathway that we have over the other two, being creatine phosphate and the oxidative, which is just aerobic and then basically weightlifting, super short in intensity stuff. So to his question, now that I've explained that, and he also mentioned EO3 elements. That was another episode. If you are new here and you need to know about the EO3 elements, that was an episode. If you're trying to do anything ever in fitness and you don't have the EO3 elements dialed in, stop everything you're doing, go back, listen to that episode, dial those in first, and then work on your nutrition and your fitness program. But now to finally answer the question, would I be okay with someone who's like jacked up hormonally saying, hey, can I back off the glycolytic training? One, we only program glycolytic training maybe 2 or 3 times per month. 3 would be a heavy glycolytic month for us. And most of the time it's 2. And would I be okay with you cutting that out? Absolutely is the answer. Absolutely. Skip it. Don't do it. Do something else. Go for a walk, go for a jog, go for a ride, whatever it is. You absolutely don't have to do this. This high intensity that you see everywhere is not the answer to your problems. I can almost guarantee that. So it's probably what's causing most everyone's problems. If you're stuck, not seeing results, can't move weight on the scale, tired, feel like crap, it's probably that. So like I said, it's the most metabolically demanding. And if you think that there's no price to pay for a metabolic demand, that's incorrect. So what you're doing is you're aging your body very quickly. You're aging your body internally very quickly. It's just like a car. You run a car extremely hard, you're gonna jack up all the parts, especially if you're not taking care of it, right? You don't have the EO3 elements dialed in. Well, if you're like riding your car as hard as you can and you're never doing oil changes, you're never, fixing anything. VD knows more about cars than I do. But if you're not doing any of the stuff that you should be doing, you're gonna jack your car up. Something's gonna break, right?
And my wife does all the stuff that you just said, like not changing oil and all that stuff. So I get to do all that.
Yeah, and you have to take care of those things. But I just want to make it very clear. If I wrote that article on concurrent training, you can check that out at our blog as well. But I actually say in there, this energy pathway 100% is not necessary to sustain human life. Not necessary. It's not even what we were built for. We were built to run and be aerobic. Human beings were built to be aerobic. Now, we've done a lot of other cool stuff. We've learned how to pack on muscle. We've learned how to go high intensity, and there are a lot of benefits in all of these different categories, and that's why we kind of blend a lot of that stuff in our training. But glycolytic, it's a double-edged sword. There are some benefits to it. You use it incorrectly, there are way more problems that are going to come up with it than you're willing to take on. So I just want to make sure that we're super clear on the stance here. You don't have to do high-intensity training. You don't have to. It's okay if you do it correctly. And if you're just doing high intensity all the time and your favorite Instagram picture is you laid out on the ground like dead every day, like you might want to check yourself. I'm looking out for you in all honesty. Like I'm not hating on you. I'm like, that's going to be a problem. Like it's okay, but that's going to be a problem eventually. So just check it. All right. Any thoughts on that from anybody?
I think you should share that his sleep and stuff has improved since he has actually started, doing stuff with us. At least give a good positive.
Oh, I didn't. I only want to tackle the negative. Where I didn't even like. I mean, I read it, but which part are you talking about? The.
Oh, he talked about that his sleep has improved. He says over the past 4 to 5 months. He started with a 6-week shred, and he says he's seen improvements moving towards at least a couple days per week where I get at least 7 hours of sleep. And I'm pretty sure when he first started going to, didn't you say he was only getting like 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep from coming across? Anyways, I just thought that was really cool that he was sharing, some positive outcomes from switching that over and, just getting his lifestyle, dialed in and doing different programming that is actually working for him. And it's not, not just, getting shredded and being fit. It's like just exactly what you said. Like he is improving in overall health.
Yeah. And so he actually went through our fuels course as well. He's just seen a lot of results. And like I said, I won't say his name, but buddy, I'm glad that you're here and listening to this and that you're seeing results and you reverse things. And I do want to point out that this was a culmination of CrossFit for 15 years and not sleeping very well. So it was just high intensity training coupled with not sleeping. You can fix that in EO3 Elements real fast if you guys go back and listen to that podcast. But yeah, I'm not bashing this guy at all. I'm just trying to, make sure that we take a very clear stance on high intensity training, that it's okay to not do it. Because I think if you get in a bad situation where you're like in this type of situation, or you think that you might be, I mean, you might have to go all the way back to the drawing board. Like if you've done any research on overtraining is not something like some people are like, oh yeah, I'm overtrained. Like, and then I think I might take a day off. True overtraining can take 6 months to recover from. Like the true definition of overtraining can take 6 months or longer. And no, I mean, most people aren't going to come anywhere close to overtraining. Don't worry about that. But if you do hit that, like it's a bad place to be. And that's kind of the situation he was in. Okay, now the topic is Fit Week. And I just want to go along to each one of you. So you guys have done Fit Week. You've been around for plenty. Give your best tips, strategies for Fit Week. And maybe I should explain what Fit Week is. VD, you explain what Fit Week is as an overall, and then we can start taking tips and strategies.
Yeah, I'll be on the spot here.
That's what I do.
Fit Week is the week to show off. Fit Week is the week to demonstrate the skills you've been working on the entire cycle. So now is the time to go all in and give it your best to put up those big numbers safely and show us all how you earn your PR shirt.
There you go. Yep. You hit a PR and you submit it in our Facebook group. We send you a shirt for free, which is awesome.
Yeah. Or you can get 81 of them. It's up to you.
Yes. Yes. Don't accidentally. I guess we have to tell the story now. So
I forgot about that.
VD. So there's a black PR shirt for 1 PR. There's a red PR shirt for 5 PRs, and VD earned his PR shirt. And there's a way, like, it is actually free for everybody. Like, we give you some discount codes and everything. There's a process to go through the ordering, and then we take the cost of that, and we eat the cost of that and send you a shirt just for being a member and being awesome. But you can fat finger the order form, and luckily I caught it fast enough before the shirts went into production. But VD ordered 81 shirts, and these shirts are not like we didn't go with the cheapest shirt possible in the world. They're like it's a pretty high quality shirt, and they're pretty awesome. And he was going for 81 of them, and complete accident, and dang, almost bad.
Yeah. So I woke up and I was like, man, this closet just needs a makeover. I'm going to replace every shirt I own.
Red PR
with
shirts.
the same shirt. Yep. PR every day.
That's how I want to be paid for the next 3 years.
All right, Joe, man, what's your best tip or strategy for Fit Week?
Don't worry about doing everything. Don't worry about testing everything if you don't really need to or really want to. I know most people do, and I usually, most Fit Weeks, I don't test everything. I know Jared usually tests all of them or when you have gone through them, but if there's a few that you want to get done, make those priorities. Don't worry about getting every single one of them done. If you don't need to, if you really want to rest your body some or not beat up too much, or if you don't feel like you're prepared for it, you don't need to be obligated to do every single marker, especially some of the strength lists if you're just not feeling comfortable up for it. So that would be my caveat. And also really, really, really good warm-ups and mobility.
So what you're saying is I can skip the 2,000 meter row, yeah?
Almost every time I do.
That's the easiest one to skip if you had to skip one. That is...
Rowing is terrible.
I don't know why I have so much fear wrapped around that test. All right,
once you get on it, you're strapped in, and then you're locked and loaded for the whole time.
Slash, you keep PRing it, so that's your problem. Like you keep making it like you have to go faster each time.
It sucks. It's bad. I'm getting uncomfortable right now talking about it. Okay, Ashley, what do you have? Any tips or strategies for Fit Week?
Mine's more fun. Put on some good jams because that's what I get motivated to. Put on some gangster rap and handle it. No, or put on some rock, whatever you need to do, and just have fun with it. And yeah, that's my tip for Fit Week.
Or if you're Keith, you put on a cape, which safety reasons I don't necessarily recommend, but you do you.
You do you, boo boo.
Dude, that he might have the best garage gym in the group.
Oh, now, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, VD, how about you, man? What tips you have?
My best tip is, absolutely have fun. Yeah, be safe. But realize that you don't need to do them in order either. So if Monday comes around and you don't want to squat because you're still sore, but you want a PR, we'll move Mondays to Wednesday or make Friday your rest day. Like you can move these things around. My second tip would be to not change anything. So if you wake up in the morning, and I'll use myself as an example, I have a piece of fruit and I have a protein shake, and that's literally my pre-workout because I train first thing. I'd never change that, whether it's PR week, whether it's a rest day. Like that's my jam. That's what I do every single time. I eat the same foods. When it comes to food, I'm just about as close as you can be to a robot. I eat the same things all the time. So yeah, I know, right? So, but so don't change things. Treat it like the Fit Week that it is. Take it seriously. If you care to PR, if you don't, that's cool too. Just go have fun with it. But those are my two biggest tips.
Awesome. I will say starting last Fit Week, we added optional training. So anyone going more Joe's suggestion, which I completely agree with. If you don't want to hit some PRs or you don't want to test everything, we do have optional training for that. I think that I'm getting to the point now where I do 2 times per year. I test everything in the exact order, and then the other 2, I kind of do, cherry pick just based off of. I always do the big 3. For me, like maxing out on squat, deadlift, and strict press are just like, I don't know, they're just not hard. Like, I mean, they're challenging. I'm just saying it's like I'm not worried about getting injured doing those. I'm very safe, but those can cause have a lot of potential if you're doing things incorrectly. So don't worry about the PR so much. And I always, when we do videos in the group and everything, I always say it is a PR if you have perfect form. I don't want to see some back breaking deadlift or anything like that, or some sketchy squat, and I don't want to hear about anybody getting hurt doing these things. But the only thing I've seen kind of a recurrence of is we took the Olympic lifting out just because we don't program it like at all anymore, and we don't really want to. But the sprinting, specifically like 400-meter sprint, if you haven't been sprinting at all, you know, you can ease into that one. But the warm-up, Joe mentioned warm-ups, it's not necessarily that you're going to pull a hamstring if you run a 400-meter sprint. It's not like a 1-for-1. It could just happen. If you have a desk job and you sit down all the time, your hamstring is going to start to shorten. And then when you try to lengthen that hamstring at a very fast pace, the incidence of hamstring pull greatly increases. So know that. But it can also be, you know, combated with a really solid warm-up. So when you're about to do an all-out sprint, your warm-up should be probably 20 times the length of the sprint that you're going to do. So if you have a 1 minute 400 meter, you should have a 20-minute warm-up before you ever tackle that sprint. And I think some people they have this weird thing with running where they're like, the run is the warm-up, right? Like I've joked about that with Murph, you know, like the first mile is the warm-up, but not when you're trying to like really go for speed. So on anything sprinting, make sure that you're very, very warm. 500 meter on the row is pretty like not that difficult. And if you want to dive more into Fit Week, I think we did an entire podcast about that a while back, so you could dive even more into Fit Week. But yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Cherry pick if you want, get some PRs and celebrate. Be awesome. Cool. Now, workout of the week. We tested every Fit Week. Ashley's going to brief it, and then we'll go over tips and strategies for that.
Sweet. So it's the end of 3 5K, and the end of 3 5K goes like this. You run 800 meters, and then after you finish your 800-meter run, you'll stop and do 3 rounds of 5 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and 15 air squats, and then repeat this until basically you're done with your 5K. So that's what,
6 rounds.
Yeah, 6 rounds of that. And then, are we still doing the sprint?
You know, you're supposed to, or else you're not doing a 5K. You're doing like a 48. You're doing 4,800 meters. So you're supposed to do the sprints, but the times have gotten so conflicted with people posting their EO3 5Ks without. And then there's like, oh, well, do I add the rest times in? The original purpose was you run the 4,800 meters. Everyone has the rest built in, so the rest is part of your time. And then you have those 2 sprints, and that should be your total time. That's how I intended it. It kind of got away from me here and having a lot of athletes. So really, I'm okay with people reporting their EO3 5K as just the 6 rounds of calisthenics and run. But if we were if we were to have a competition like in person, it wouldn't be that way. And your EO3 5K time with me would probably be multiple minutes slower, because I would force you to do those portions. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that's how a majority of the leaderboard is now. And so I'm okay with like, okay, that's how it works. But just know in true proper form, it should have been done everything listed and timed out.
So if you're confused by
8K sounds better anyway.
Yeah, the confused 48K or no, 4.8K. 48K would be way better.
Whoa.
Okay, new Meet Yourself Saturday coming soon.
Oh, no.
I like confused 2Ks and EO3 5Ks. We'll get some more in there. All right, tips, strategies. Ashley, do you have anything for this one?
Well, I just no, not really. I just kind of go out and do this one. If I think about this,
just
is my
do
favorite.
It good.
Just do it good.
Sounds like my advice on everyone. We'll go fast, and then towards the end, go pick up the speed, and then
and then just do it faster. No, just keep moving is what I would say. Don't. So for like the 800, I just make sure that I'm running every single 800. And then I try not to rest between. Technically, I use obviously the 3 rounds of the calisthenics are like your rest time, or that's how I think of it, like that. And the run is the sucky part.
I actually look at it in reverse. I see the run as my rest, and I try to keep a consistent pace, and the calisthenics are my like pushing as hard as I can go.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Hey, everyone's different. And so I don't have a lot of tips. My only tip on this one is, so yes, go fast. But, and I'm not going to say like, Joe might be a little bit more strategic or whatever, but my thing is similar with Murph. Try not to rest, which is what Ashley said, but really set a goal for no rest at all. And then if you are resting, I only have one question I want you to ask yourself when you do rest. Do you really need to rest right now? So when you're doing this workout and you're taking a break on your, it's the third round, you're in the calisthenics, you're about to start squats, and you're kind of standing around, you're not working, you're not moving. I just want you to think about this question. Do you need to be resting right now? Like, is there a legitimate reason for you to be resting right now? If the answer is yes, you have a legitimate, I'm super tired. I cannot move anymore. I reached muscle failure. That's really the only answer. Muscle failure is why you should be resting. If the answer is no, then keep moving and keep moving until that answer changes. And if you might find out that it never changes. So that's my only advice for this workout. Joe, break it down, man. Something super like laid out, like some equations, strategy. What you got?
Change our lives.
Mine is kind of in between both of what you said. I was going to phrase it like you did, Ashley, rest during the calisthenics. It's technically not rest because you are doing those as fast as possible. That's pretty much the easy part. And since the run is the majority part, that's not the rest, Jared. You just have to keep a steady pace.
I think VD's with me on this one. So
sorry, Joe and I are crushing this.
Yeah. So you do the calisthenics as fast as possible because that's your break from the run. The run pace should be about 90% each of them because you're just doing a half a mile, and then the calisthenics should take about a minute or 90 seconds or something like that. Maybe give yourself, after your last round of the calisthenics, walk 10 feet, take a couple deep breaths, and then do your run. And the run time should be about 90% of your whatever your mile pace is. Whatever 90% effort of that would be, use that pacing for your half a mile. And then try and keep with that as you go.
Joe, the pace master.
Blow your mind? Yeah, right?
There it is. I'm already confused and don't want to try it. But no, that's great advice. I think Joe gives the most practical, realistic, useful information. I don't. I typically just say go fast and then make you feel bad about yourself. But Joe, if you really want some pointers and tips, Joe is the person to listen to. VD, What do you have?
What happened like 2 Saturdays ago with your condition me to the grave?
What happened? What happened? I don't remember.
Didn't you oh no, it was a broken arrow. You
broken arrow.
I think you could go faster on the bike.
Well, that was because I've been cycling so much. I was like, I'm like cycling all the time. I'm like, I am going to go as hard as I can for 10 miles because 10 miles for me now on a bike is not that big of a deal. And so I'm like, I'm just going to crush it. Well, turns out you can hurt your legs on a bike pretty bad if you want to. And so that affected me later on. All right, VD, what do you have?
All right, so I'm kind of in cahoots with you here. I prefer to rest on the run because, and here's why, and I'm about to lawyer Joe a little bit here. So because you have a lot of transition time between the other three movements, so there's a lot of wasted effort there, possibly, right? Especially when you get into the later rounds, you can find yourself resting more and more. So you can make up that time by just continuing a solid pace on the run, right? So I would rather you just transition quickly between the calisthenics. That way you waste less time. And so it kind of cancels out the pain you're going to receive if you're running at 90%, right? So like if I can run at 80%, I'll save a little in the tank and then push harder on the calisthenics. My tip also is like when I do this, I go from the push-up position. I just roll over right into sit-ups. I don't stand up and then reset and try to anchor my feet and all that stuff before I get started. Roll over right into the sit-ups, roll over again, and then stand up, and that's your first squat. So you're saving that transition time, and then you can run 80% on the run and make Joe mad for not doing what he said.
Well, I'm trying to think. So I run somewhere between, I think it's like I do like 3:30s or less on the 800s, which would be about a 7-minute mile pace or faster, which is about the pace I keep. So I'm probably close to what maybe that's like 85% of my mile, like PR mile pace or something like that. I'd have to actually do the math, but I've never thought of it in terms of percentages, but I think it probably cooks out pretty close in my own efforts. Cool. I like. There's a little conflict there. So,
well,
we need more of this.
Kind of what I was talking about.
I think what it comes down to is like, are you a better runner or are you better at calisthenics, right? So if you're better at running, you would rather just kind of use that as your rest time, and then, if you're better at the calisthenics stuff, then you go faster on that. I don't know.
Yeah, my last point would be to actually time these things out, because if you could do a stopwatch at the end of every 800, and then do a stopwatch, like a split time at the end of every 3 rounds of calisthenics after you're done with the calisthenics, and just like see where that ends up at the end of your workout. Be like, if you don't feel like you can pace your first time doing this workout, that's fine. If you've done it before, then you have something to compare to. But okay, how consistent were you on the 800s? Could you shave off some time? Did your calisthenics time balloon up the later you got into the workout? Those are just things to pay attention to, and you become a better pacer as you go on. All right, now everybody's going to get the question. Got lots of reasons. Why should everyone join Garage Gym Athlete if they have not already? And these are also reminders for all the people who are currently members, why they should be members forever. So, Joe, you're first, man.
First choice. Because if you don't have PRs in our system, this is when you need to get your PRs down so that you can get a shirt at the end of the cycle.
PR shirt. That's a good reason right there. All right, Ashley.
Because we are concerned about your overall health, and we are adding new and cool things all the time, like a woman's health track.
That's great. VD, it's your first time, man, throwing you to the wolves here.
I know, right? So you need to join because you get to come do the end of 3 5K and help us sort out is it better to go hard on the run, or is it better to go
You can help us answer the question once and for all. Yeah. And I guess my biggest point and reason for existence would just be programming. Find programming. I really used to be of the mindset of like, just find something, stick with it, you'll be fine. And the more I learn that's not true. And it's unfortunate like that's not true. Like consistency is great, but like you can be consistent in the wrong thing. You can be a consistent smoker, and that's not good. That doesn't help you at all. So yeah, I think finding some programming that makes a difference, like Ashley was saying, in your health and your performance, I think is a hard thing to find. In my honest opinion, normally it's like really hardcore on the performance or really hardcore on the weight loss, but not necessarily either like overlaying health and performance. And I think that's what we're trying to do at a really high level. All right, guys, that's it for the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Unfortunately, Kyle wasn't here today, but glad to have all of you here. And until next time. Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.